Hello again, YouTube. My name's RJ and welcome to my workshop. Today I want to talk to you about lighting, shop lighting in particular. I'm looking up in the ceiling and looking at the LED lighting I put in here, and I wanted to just show people what I've done and how it looks. Kind of give you a subjective view of some data about what I did, and then a subjective idea of how it's been working for me. I'm not an expert in lighting. I'm looking at my cheat sheet because I filmed this before and still learning my new camera and it didn't work out so well. So I'm looking at a few notes on the side at the same time. The shop that I'm in is a pole barn. It's 32 by 48. Standard pole barn construction. It's steel sided and you can see it in the background. It's got white paint on the inside. So it reflects light fairly well. What I ended up doing is putting in 8 120 watt equivalent daylight LED bulbs. I'll explain it a little bit more, break those down here in a bit, but the key parts to it, the shop is, the side walls are 14 feet high, so the bottom of the bulbs is about 14 and a half feet off the ground, so that'll give you, that's important just to see how it works for me. It's fairly high ceiling. With 8 bulbs, the grand total of power consumption is 164 watts. So I have all 8 bulbs on one switch. When I turn that on, it's 164 watts of consumption. They work phenomenal. I'm really pleased for the price, my performance. It is not the brightest shop you will ever walk into. It works very well. I get good lighting. I still use task lighting from time to time. You know, when you're working on a vehicle or something like that, something up close. Also over my workbench, I'll bring you in and show you this later. I've got 2 light bulbs over that as well. So for the grand total of 10 bulbs in the entire shop. In the shop, behind me, you can see right now it's kind of, it's about 8 p.m. It's getting to be dusk. It doesn't look dusk-like in the camera here, but the only 2 light sources in the shop is a light in the doorway, half size light or window, and then a small window next to it. Those 2 things, those are the only 2 outside lights except for the ridge beam or the ridge cap. The ridge cap on this building, I didn't build this building, but the entire length of the building, the ridge cap has a translucent panel over top. It's about maybe a foot wide by 48 feet long. That lets in a ton of light in daylight hours. So it makes the shop very usable in daylight hours. And that's how I used it probably for the first 2-3 years that I owned the shop. I did not build this shop, so that's how it came. Like I say, the value is phenomenal. The cost I have into these 8 LED lights, the amount of effort that went into putting them in, versus the light output I get. That's why I'm showing this video right now. I want you to see it. Like I say, it's twilight out right now, so this will give you an idea. In my past videos, if you go back a few, you can see the first video I really did was on some annular cutters. That was done in the middle of the night, and it worked with no other lighting. And at the end of this video, I'll wait an hour or so until it gets completely dark out and take some video and show you what it looks like at that point in time. So let's switch views and I'll give you, show you some other things about the system. So here's a shot of the roof of the pole barn. The top of the garage door, I'm gonna see if I can kind of point here, that is about 12'6". These lights, here I'm showing 4 of them, and the bottom of those lights are at 13 feet 6 inches. The trusses are 8 feet apart, so end wall, then 8 foot, there's 2 lights, another 8 foot, there's 2 lights, and that's going back the first 4 trusses. The 5th truss towards the back of the building, I don't have any lights on that. The back of the building is more storage, so I didn't put lights back there right now. So again, they're 8 foot apart in this orientation and about 10.5 feet between the lights in this direction. So the lights themselves, like I say, are 120 watt equivalent LED bulbs, and they're just spun into, there's a plastic box mounted up there with the ceramic type base that you've seen for years, and they're just all wired together on one switch. So that'll give you an idea. The other thing I wanted to point out, and part of the reason I'm filming this right now while it's still a little daylight, is you can see the in the ridge here, it's really tough pointing backwards. In the ridge here, you can see the 1 foot opaque panels. If you're building a shop, it's great. It gives you so much light in here. That has worked. I didn't build this shop. It came like that, and I'm very pleased. From where I'm standing, you can't see it on the camera. I can see 3 holes in it from hail damage over the years, but this building has been up since 2002, I think, so it's held up very well. All right, let me turn you around and show you something different, some more lighting. All right, what I want to point out here, this is my workbench right now. I have these are compact fluorescent light fixtures. These particular ones are outdoor compact fluorescent lamps. And I don't know how well it shows up with them lit up. Taking video of light bulbs turned on is kind of difficult, I've come to find out. But it looks like it's a compact fluorescent light bulb, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. They're the kind of the curly Q looking bulb. And then this one has a housing around the outside of it. So they look, like I said, they look like an old school floodlight bulb. And basically what it is just an insulating layer. So when it's outside, you turn that thing on, it starts to heat up right away. But with that housing around it, it holds some of that heat in, which helps build the heat inside of it, which gets it up to full light potential quicker. Still not very quick though. These specification wise are the same as the bulbs up in the ceiling. The bulbs up in the ceiling are 1600 lumens, so are these. 120 watt equivalent is what they're called, and they're 5000 Kelvin on the color scale. So they're a very bright white, they're very blue color. I really enjoy them in working areas, work desks. I got one over my desk in the basement, out here in the shop. Most incandescent bulbs that you're used to are 2700 Kelvin, somewhere in that area. And those are much more of a yellow color, whereas these are stark. They're very bright. They give you a lot of contrast. These are the same temperature range, the same color range as fluorescent fixtures. So that's what most people are used to these from. So both the LEDs and the compact fluorescents, they get a bad rap because people are like, oh, they aren't, you know, they don't put off enough light. What I find is if you take somebody and you put in one of these daylight bulbs in for them, and if they're complaining that there's not enough light output, put one of these daylight bulbs in and it's sharp. It works very well. So I'm really pleased with them. The compact fluorescents, I've had these quite a bit longer. The LEDs were still very expensive when I put these in. So these are not, you know, not what I would put in today, but I've got them and they work good. So top of my bench to the underside of those lights is 4.5 feet. Then if you look across here, there's 5 feet 6 inches in between them. So, and you can't see it from that angle, but they're right in line with the front of the bench. They're just inset ever so slightly from the front of the bench. So I really like that. It gives you a lot of light directly overhead. When I'm working right here, I can see the shadow of my hands, but it's being lit from both sides. So there's not a shadow that really distracts. It works quite nicely. So over top of workbenches, I like to have them just about over my head. Again, that's just from working in different shops. I don't know what the industry standards are. I'm sure I'm lower than typical for an industrial or commercial setting as far as light output, but this has worked out very well for the cost. When I did the upper lights, it was $60 for the 8 light bulbs. I think I got them on sale for about $7.50 a piece. The little ceramic looking bases, which I think are actually plastic, were, you know, $2 a piece. The boxes are $2 a piece, whatever wire cost. So I don't think I've got $150 into this whole project. And again, 164 watts it takes to run all 8 of those light bulbs. And then if you add in these, these two is another 44 watts on top of that. So in the range of 210 watts to light up this entire shop, which is 200 watt, you know, old school 100 watt light bulbs. The efficiency is incredible. So I've been very pleased with that. Again, it's getting dark outside now, and you can see that this lights up pretty well. We'll take a couple more quick shots for you and just kind of give you an idea what it looks like. So I haven't done this before, but I'm going to go handheld. We'll see how nervous and jerky this looks. Just some examples. So this is kind of cheating because there's no hood on this vehicle, but you can see it's pitch black out now, and well, you can't see that it's pitch black, but it is pitch black out, and you can see the light output here. Again, not the brightest shop I've ever been in my life, but it turns out pretty well. I got this little Craftsman LED light, which is a monster. The thing is super bright. And you can see that, you know, with a little task lighting, you could definitely light it up a lot better. But for the most part, this is really works out pretty well. Another example, we'll see how the camera does. You know, looking into the toolbox, you know, you've got pretty decent lighting in here. And just some examples, just to kind of give you a rough feel for how this lighting has done. All right, so I'm trying not to be too long-winded on this, but like I say, I just wanted to give kind of a real-world example of what has worked well for me. Again, I'm not an expert in lighting, but just to have some visual evidence of how this is working, I think people hopefully can get a fair idea. I do believe that the camera is a little bit kinder to the lighting in here than what it actually is. So take that into consideration. Like I say, this is not top of the line. If I were working in here every night, this was a production place, I would probably double the amount of light that's in here. But again, for the cost, that wouldn't be hard to do, and it would not be a tremendous power draw either. So LED bulbs have been great for the power consumption, and the daylight bulbs. Daylight, 5000K is what you're looking for on the little package. That's what really works out well for me. So I hope this helps someone out if you're trying to figure out what to do in your shop. And if you get a chance, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get some more videos out here for you pretty soon. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you taking your time to come and watch my channel. Thanks.